Are you going to be in my video? Are you in my video? Yes, you're in my video. Yes. Hello everyone, welcome back to Mrs. Y is Fly. My name is Ashley, and today I'm going to be talking about a collaborative video that I was invited to be a part of. Emma from Kafupa Land on Instagram invited me to be part of this collaboration, and today we are talking about top 5 poems that we as secondary English teachers like to teach, and kind of how we do it and why we do it and whatnot. So it's just a great way to share some, activities and strategies that we have found successful, because let's be honest, poetry is not an easy thing to teach at all. I mean, we'll be honest for a sec, I don't really like teaching poetry at all, because I didn't like poetry as a kid, and especially in high school. I was like, this is stupid, I don't understand it, it's got this weird meaning that I can't find, there's all these obstacles in poetry that I don't know how they were created or who created those for me personally, but I do know that a lot of our students struggle with sort of enjoying poetry and just, I don't know, being able to sit through it and learn something from it and realize that it's not this like giant elephant in the room that they originally thought it was. So today I'm going to talk to you about my top 5 poems that I like to teach and how I teach them, little activities that go with them, and I will link all of those poems below so you can look at those and see if it works for your poetry unit. If you want to add anything in, feel free. I'm not going to put clips in of the poems. I originally thought about doing that, but then I was afraid of that whole like copyright thing, and I didn't want YouTube to like flag me and all that crazy stuff. So I'm not going to do that. I'll just link them all below, and a lot of these poems hopefully you have heard of before, because I don't think they're anything crazy revolutionary, but maybe what I do with them is different than what you do with them, so feel free, steal. I'm sorry if my cats are in the background. They're all over the place, but you'll see them. Alright, so let's start with the countdown. So, number 5, we'll start at number 5 and work our way down to number 1. Number 5 is called Shake the Dust by, oh boy, my sheet just flew off. Hold on, technical problems. Alright, come on. Alright, so my number 5 poem is called Shake the Dust, and it's by, I believe it's pronounced, and I may be butchering this, and I apologize if I am, and you can shun me in the comments below if I am, fellow English teachers, but I believe it's Mojgami. I really like this poem, and you've probably heard of this poem before. Anis is a national, I think 2-time slam poetry champion, so I like to show his video rendition of him performing this poem for a couple reasons. Number 1, our school is a Poetry Out Loud participating school, I guess, and we usually have students progress to the nationals. Well, not always the nationals. We had one last year go to states, so I lied. No nationals. No national yet. But definitely always the regional, and we have had a couple students go to states in the last probably decade. So we truly appreciate Poetry Out Loud and the spoken word, and we like seeing students participate in that for multiple reasons. But Anis is a National Slam Poet champion, so I do like to show his work because it gives the students something to model after, and I really like analyzing how he performs things, and specifically this poem, Shake the Dust, because I feel like students really relate to it. The opening line is, I believe, and I could be misquoting this is for the fat girls, and it talks all about different groups, if you will, of kids, of people that maybe are not as widely recognized for different things. So I feel like a lot of my students really relate to it, and they really like that they can put themselves in the words, which is important, and in the story. It's a great example of narrative poetry, of storytelling, and it's a great way to get kids who are like, oh, I hate poetry, blah, into poetry. So that's my number 5, Shake the Dust. Number 4, I use every year with my freshmen specifically. It's Harlem by Langston Hughes. I always called it as a kid A Dream Deferred, but that's not the real name of the poem, I found out. It's actually called Harlem. It's very short, which I like, and I use this for a couple things. I use it, number one, for annotation practice. Circle words you don't know, underline them, look them up, write in the margins, pick things apart, you know, images you like, sounds that you like, words that make a cool sound, all those sorts of things I go over with them. And it's a great way to start this annotation skill with just a short snippet, rather than, you know, annotate this novel. It's a little too much for them, especially freshman year. And it seems to go well. I also really like using it to discuss the idea of dreams and goal setting, because the whole premise of the poem is like, what happens to a dream that you kind of gave up on or forgot about or pushed to the side, if you will. And we all have silly childhood dreams of what we want to be when we grow up. You know, when you're 6 years old, what did you want to be when you grow up? Maybe you wanted to be a teacher, but I wanted to be like a dolphin trainer or like an Egyptologist, or you know, you all go through different phases of life. So that's always a fun conversation to bring up, and then we share like what everybody wanted to be, you know, when they were a little kid. You wanted to be a princess or an astronaut or, you know, whatever. And it's just this good way to get to know your kids and to make poetry relevant to them. So that's number 4, Harlem by Langston Hughes. Then, so I like to use different song lyrics for number 3, and they get to pick the song lyrics. The only catch for choosing song lyrics, which they all love to do, of course, choice is, you know, king, they have to compare a song that was originally done in, say, a classic rock way, and then they have to have a remake of it, or like a remix or something by a totally different artist. Maybe it's a different genre completely, which could be like classic rock to pop, or you know, Metallica to the classic cello, and like, you know, bands like that. Anything like that, but definitely something with 2 different tones to the song. Same piece, different tone, different interpretation. I like to do this because I get the chance to talk about how musicians and artists and writers and, you know, everybody interprets things differently, and what is the message? How do you feel about that message? What kind of words, what kind of music are you going to set to that message to maybe have it be a completely different experience for the audience? They also get to present these at the end, which they love to do, so I try to have them keep it kind of a secret from their peers, so they're not like giving it away, if you will. And they all like to, you know, play their songs and talk about why they picked it and why it's their favorite song, and, you know, give a little story behind it, which is nice. I'm always looking for ways to get students up in front of their peers speaking, because I feel like we don't do that enough, especially in my district. I think that's severely lacking in the middle school, and I think that's just a skill that you have to have, like in life as an adult. You need to have that ability to just talk, like I'm doing right now. I'm just rambling about nothing. So they like presenting those. The example I always use is the song Smells Like Teen Spirit by Nirvana. That's the original, and then the remake version that I always play and have them look at is the Tori Amos piano cover, which is really interesting and probably one of my favorite songs ever. I might even like it better than the Nirvana one. Don't hate me. But I've also used the Simple Man by Lynyrd Skynyrd. That's the original, and then the remake I use is the acoustic version that Shinedown recorded. So all just ways to get them talking, thinking about it, looking at the words, looking at vocabulary, maybe doing some annotation practice, and presenting something to their peers. It's not really a set song lyric, but I definitely like doing a song lyric activity in that way. Alright. Number 2 is a poem called Lost Generation by Jonathan Reed. And I apologize, I don't really know anything else written or done by Jonathan Reed. I don't know who he is. I found this activity, I think, just scouring the internet looking for poetry activities. But it's the poem Lost Generation. It's a palindrome poem, which means it's read from top to bottom and bottom to top, and it has same words, same order. Well, no, I guess different order, back to front, duh. But either way, the top to bottom is a completely different message than bottom to top. I know I'll link below the YouTube version of this, and it has the words, and you can kind of see it. I love doing this with, especially freshmen in my poetry unit. It's really neat just to be like, all right, guys, we're going to do this poem, and, you know, we're going to talk about it today, and I'm going to play it for you, and then we're going to look at it, and I print it out for everybody, or I email them a copy so they can look at it while they're listening. But then it's neat when, you know, it goes top to bottom, and then all of a sudden it goes bottom to top, and they're like, wait, what? And you can see them all kind of panic to like figure out like what's happening, and then I always have to end up doing it again, because a lot of them like missed it because they were so like with the big reveal. So it's an interesting conversation about how we can structure poetry to mean different things, and how packaging doesn't always equal message, which is really neat, right? And again, I'm not really super like a poet, but I like that neat kind of poetry. I really, really enjoy, and I like talking about. So then my top poem that I love to teach, maybe not top poem, but a type of poem, is actually the sonnet. And I know everybody's groaning and thinking, oh God, Shakespeare, no, don't do it. But I found this randomly on the internet. It's called Pop Sonnets, and it's originally from Tumblr, I believe. So I'm putting a link below, of course, but it's popsonnet.tumblr.com. And what these authors did, and I actually don't even know who they are as people, I think it's a different group of people, they release a new pop sonnet every Tuesday on the Tumblr website. And they took pop songs, theme songs from the Muppets, Beatles songs, all kinds of interesting things, and they wrote them into Shakespearean sonnets, which are hysterical to read. Same format, same rhyme scheme, same meter, hello, same everything, but they are pop sonnets. So what I do with this is I print out different versions, and I cut the title off because it tells you the title and who the original artist was, and I just give them out in groups. Tell them to analyze it, annotate, talk about it, and then they have to present them to the rest of the class. And I did this with my AP class, my AP Lit class this past fall, and I think I actually did this for my observation. It went over great. So each group is analyzing a different, pop sonnet, and it's actually a song. And then at the end, when they're all done, after they all present, I go, okay, funny thing is, your poem or your sonnet is actually this song, and then I play it. And they like lose their minds laughing. They like cannot believe that what they just read was a song. And then all the other groups are like, wait, what's ours? And then they have to figure out, what their song is, and then I play it, and we all laugh and continue on. Then the big performance-based assessment for that unit, for my poetry unit in AP, is to write their own. So they get to pick a song, they get to pick whatever they want, and they have to make it into a Shakespearean sonnet. And if you've never tried to do it, it's freaking hard to do. I tried to rewrite a Tom Petty song. It was hard, because you have to not only be able to translate the Elizabethan into English, you have to be able to rhyme the Elizabethan, it has to be the right meter, it has to be structurally correct. It's really hard. So I give mad props to the pop sonnet folks who have figured that out and do that weekly, because it's really hard to do. Yes, those are my top 5 poems that I like to teach and kind of how I teach them. Starting to think about school coming up. It's almost the end of, it's the dead middle of July right now, which is terrifying. Like, where did the summer go already? But just trying to wrap my brain around school a little bit, so I appreciate being invited to do this collaboration about poetry, and starting to think about, my first units coming up and how I'm going to incorporate more poetry into my curriculum, because it's not a strength of mine, I'll be totally honest. But I think what I do accomplish with poetry is pretty solid, even though it's not my favorite thing on earth, but that's okay. I'm getting there. I'm getting better. In high school I always thought it was going to be coffee shop, bongos. I need to get some bongos. Where do I get bongos? Can you get those on Amazon? Probably. That would be fun. So, snaps to Kafoople for the awesome collaboration idea, and I hope that you learned a couple things about teaching poetry, took away some ideas anyway, and of course I will link everything below as I've said. And if you have any questions, feel free to drop me a comment or shoot me an email or anything of the like. Be sure to like the video if you did enjoy your time here, and subscribe to the channel to see more from Mrs. Y is Fly. And other than that, I'm out of here, and have a good one. Bye!